Jake Miller pushed his cleaning cart down the long metal hallway of Frontier Station Alpha 7. The wheels squeaked with each turn, echoing off the bare walls. He had been doing this same job for 3 years now. Clean the floors, empty this trash, fix broken lights. It was not the life he had planned. 5 years ago, Jake flew fighter jets for the Earth Defense Force. He was good at it too. Really good. His commander said he had natural talent. He could make his ship dance through space like it was part of his own body. Other pilots looked up to him. He felt proud wearing his uniform. Then came the accident. During a training exercise, his ship hit another fighter. Both pilots survived, but Jake's head hit the control panel hard. The doctor said his reflexes were damaged. Not enough to hurt him in normal life, but too much for flying military ships. They gave him a medical discharge and sent him home. Jake tried to find work as a civilian pilot, but no company would hire him. His medical records showed the damage. So he took the only job he could find, janitor on a space station far from Earth. At least it was in space, even if he was not flying. The other people on the station treated him like he was invisible. They walked past him without saying hello. Some dropped their trash on the floor right after he cleaned it. To them, he was just the guy who cleaned up their mess. Only one person was different. Pete Carson, the chief engineer, sometimes stopped to talk. Pete knew about Jake's past as a pilot. He treated Jake with respect. "Morning, Jake," Pete said as he walked up. He was carrying a data pad and looked worried. "Hi, Pete. You look like something is bothering you." Pete looked around to make sure no one else was listening. "I picked up some strange radio signals. Last night, alien signals. They were talking about moving a big fleet toward human space." Jake stopped pushing his cart. "What kind of aliens?" "The HFY. You know about them, right? They have been taking over star systems for the past few years. They destroy any species that fights back." Jake nodded. Everyone knew about the HFY Empire. They were bad news. Really bad news. They had ships that could destroy whole planets. Most species just gave up when the HFY showed up. "How big is this fleet?" Jake asked. "Big enough to wipe out every human colony in this sector. And we are right in their path." Jake felt his stomach drop. The station only had 3 small patrol ships. They were good for chasing pirates, but useless against real warships. If the HFY were coming, everyone on the station was in serious trouble. "Did you tell Commander Grant?" "Not yet. I want to be sure before I scare everyone." Pete looked at his data pad again. "But Jake, I think we might be looking at the end of human expansion in this part of space." Before Jake could answer, the station's alarm started ringing. A voice came over the speakers. "All crew to stations. Unknown object detected on long-range sensors." Pete ran toward the bridge. Jake wanted to follow, but janitors were not allowed in the command center during alerts. Instead, he went to the observation deck, where he could see space through the big windows. "Commander," Lisa Grant's voice came over the radio. "This is the commander. We have found a large object drifting in space about 6 hours away. It appears to be a ship, but not like anything we have seen before. Captain Blake, take your patrol ships and check it out." Jake watched through the window as the station's 3 patrol ships launched. They were small and fast, designed for scouting and light combat. Captain Roy Blake was a good pilot, but Jake knew these ships were no match for anything really dangerous. While he waited, Jake thought about his old life as a pilot. He missed the feeling of flying through space, making split-second decisions, pushing his ship to its limits. Now his biggest challenge was getting stains out of the floor. 2 hours later, Captain Blake's voice came over the radio. He sounded excited and confused at the same time. "Commander, you need to see this. we found a massive warship. It looks like it has been drifting here for years, maybe decades. The design is completely unknown. It is not human, and it is not Cathfar either. Any signs of life? Commander Grant asked. Negative. The ship appears to be dead. No power readings, no life signs. But Commander, this thing is huge. Bigger than anything the Cathfar have. And the technology looks incredibly advanced. Jake pressed his face against the window, trying to see the distant ships. Something about this felt important. His pilot instincts, damaged as they were, told him this discovery would change everything. We are going to dock with the alien ship and send in exploration teams, Captain Blake reported. If this technology is as advanced as it looks, it could help us defend against the Cathfar. As Jake listened to the radio chatter, he felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. Maybe this alien ship was exactly what humanity needed. And maybe, just maybe, a former pilot turned janitor might have a role to play in what came next. He did not know it yet, but his life was about to change in ways he could never imagine. The boring days of cleaning floors were almost over. Adventure was coming, whether he was ready for it or not. The next day, Jake listened to every radio report about the alien ship. The exploration teams had found something amazing and terrifying at the same time. The ship was called Star's Edge, and it belonged to a species called the Velter Dr. Kate. Williams, the station's alien expert, gave her report to Commander Grant. Jake was not supposed to hear it, but his janitor access codes let him tune into restricted radio channels. He learned this trick during his first week on the job. The Veltar are all dead, Dr. Williams said. They died from some kind of disease that spread through their whole civilization. The ship's computer locked everything down to stop the disease from spreading to other species. Is the disease dangerous to humans? Commander Grant asked. No. I ran every test I could think of. The disease only affected Veltar biology. We are completely safe. Jake felt relieved. At least they would not all die from an alien plague. What about the ship itself? The commander asked. It is incredible. The technology is at least 100 years ahead of anything we have. Maybe more. The weapon systems alone could destroy a whole fleet of Cathfar ships. This made Jake's heart beat faster. A ship that could fight the Cathfar? This was exactly what humanity needed. There is just one problem, Dr. Williams continued. We cannot turn it on. Captain Blake and his team tried everything. The ship's computer is working, but it will not respond to our commands. It keeps running some kind of scan on anyone who gets near the control systems. What kind of scan? Brain scans? It is looking for something specific, some kind of neural pattern or mental ability. Until it finds what it is looking for, the ship will stay dead. Jake stopped cleaning and thought hard about this. A ship that chose its own pilot? That was strange, but it made sense. If the Veltar built the ultimate warship, they would want to make sure only the right person could use it. Later that day, Jake found Pete in the engine room. Pete was studying technical reports from the alien ship. This is amazing stuff, Pete said when he saw Jake. Look at these power readings. This ship could travel faster than anything we have ever built. And the weapons ... He shook his head. One shot from this thing could cut a Cathfar dreadnought in half. But nobody can turn it on, right? Right. The ship's computer, something called Zentar, is waiting for the right pilot. Someone with a very specific type of brain pattern. Jake felt a strange tingling in his head. What kind of pattern? Pete showed him the technical data. Combat pilots with exceptional spatial reasoning and quick reflexes. But here is the weird part. The computer seems to be looking for someone with damaged neural pathways. Like the damage makes the brain more compatible with Veltar technology. Jake's hands started shaking. damaged neural pathways. That described his condition perfectly. The accident that ended his military career might be exactly what this alien ship needed. "Pete," Jake said quietly, "I need to see that ship." "What?" "Jake, you cannot just visit an alien warship. It is restricted to authorized personnel only. You could get me there? You have engineering access to all the shuttles." Pete stared at him. "Why would you want to go there?" Jake told him about his head injury and how it matched what the ship was looking for. Pete listened carefully and looked at the technical data again. "You know what? You might be right. Your injury created exactly the kind of neural flexibility this ship needs." Pete was quiet for a moment. "But if you are wrong, you could get in serious trouble. Commander Grant would probably throw you in the brig. If I am right, I might be able to save everyone on this station." "The Kethver are coming, Pete. You said so yourself. This ship might be our only chance." Pete nodded slowly. "Okay, but we do this my way. Tonight, during the shift change, I will get you to the ship, but you only have 30 minutes before someone notices the shuttle is missing." That night, Jake put on a maintenance suit and followed Pete to the shuttle bay. His heart was beating so fast, he thought everyone could hear it. They took a small repair shuttle, the kind used for fixing damaged equipment outside the station. The flight to Star's Edge took 20 minutes. As they got closer, Jake could see how massive the ship was. It was at least 5 times bigger than Endasi. The station, with a sleek design that looked both beautiful and deadly. "There is the docking port the exploration teams used," Pete said, pointing to an opening in the ship's side. "Are you sure about this?" "No," Jake said honestly, "but I have to try." They docked with the alien ship, and Jake entered through the airlock. The inside was dark, except for emergency lighting. Jake used his flashlight to find his way to the bridge. The exploration teams had left clear markers showing the path. When Jake reached the bridge, he stopped and stared. The room was huge, with a single chair in the center surrounded by control panels that looked like works of art. Everything was designed for one person to operate the entire ship. Jake walked slowly toward the command chair. As he got closer, lights began turning on throughout the bridge. Systems that had been dead for decades suddenly came to life. A voice spoke in perfect English. "Welcome, compatible operator. I am Zentar, artificial intelligence of the Star's Edge. I have been waiting for someone like you." Jake almost fell over. The ship was talking to him. "Like me?" he managed to ask. "Your neural pattern is exactly what the Veltar designed this ship to work with. Your damaged reflexes are not a weakness. They are a strength. They allow your mind to interface directly with my quantum processors." Jake sat down in the command chair, and suddenly he could feel the entire ship. Every system, every sensor, every weapon was like a part of his own body. For the first time since his accident, Jake felt complete. Jake sat in the command chair of Star's Edge, feeling more alive than he had in years. The ship's systems flowed through his mind like water. He could sense every part of the massive warship as if it was his own body. "This is incredible," Jake whispered. "You are the first being in 67 years to successfully interface with my systems," Zenta replied. "The Veltar built me to be the ultimate weapon against the Kethver Empire. But I needed the right pilot to become fully operational. Tell me about the Kethver. What makes them so dangerous?" Zenter showed Jake images and data files. The Kethver Empire had destroyed 17 different species in the past century. They used massive fleets of heavily armed ships to crush any resistance. Their weapons could burn entire planets to ash. "But they have a weakness," Zenter explained. "Their shield technology has a fatal flaw. It cannot adapt to quantum phase. Weapons like the ones I carry. One ship like Star's Edge can disable an entire Kethver fleet." Jake felt excited and terrified at the same time. How many ships are in their main fleet? Current intelligence suggests over 100 vessels, including 12 Dreadnought-class ships. They are approximately 72 hours away from your space station. Jake's stomach dropped. 3 days. That was all the time they had. I need to get back to the station and warn them, Jake said, starting to get up from the chair. Wait, Zenter said. Before you go, you must understand something important. The neural interface we just established cannot be easily broken. You are now permanently connected to this ship. Your damaged neural pathways have adapted to my quantum processors. No other human will be able to operate Star's Edge the way you can. Jake paused. What does that mean? It means you are no longer just a janitor, Jake Miller. You are the captain of the most advanced warship in the galaxy. The question is, what will you do with that responsibility? Jake thought about Commander Grant and the crew of the station. He thought about Pete, who had helped him get here. He thought about all the human colonies that would be destroyed if the Kethvar were not stopped. I will fight, Jake said simply. But first, I need to get back before Pete worries. When Jake returned to the shuttle, Pete was waiting anxiously. Well, what happened? The ship chose me, Jake said, still not quite believing it himself. I can operate it, Pete. I can make it work. Pete stared at him. Are you serious? You can actually control that thing? More than control it. I can feel it. The ship and I are connected now. Jake quickly explained what Zenter had told him about. The Kethvar fleet. 3 days? Pete turned pale. Jake, we have to tell Commander Grant immediately. She will never believe us. And even if she does, what can she do? The station's weapons cannot even scratch a Kethvar cruiser, let alone their whole fleet. As they flew back to the station, Jake made a decision that would change his life forever. He was not going to wait for permission. He was not going to let bureaucracy and regulations get in the way of saving human lives. But first, he needed Pete's help to understand Star's Edge better. Over the next 2 days, Jake made several secret trips to the alien ship. Each time, his connection with Zenter grew stronger. The ship's AI taught him about advanced combat tactics, quantum weapons, and stealth technology. The Veltar designed Star's Edge for hit-and-run attacks, Zenter explained during one lesson. You cannot fight 12 dreadnoughts in direct combat, but with stealth and speed, you can pick them off one by one. Jake learned to use the ships. Incredible engines. Star's Edge could move faster than anything the Kethvar had ever built. It could also become nearly invisible to their sensors, allowing it to strike without warning. On the second day, long-range sensors detected the Kethvar fleet. Commander Grant called an emergency meeting of all senior staff. Jake was not invited, but he listened in through the maintenance radio channels. The alien fleet will be here in 18 hours, Captain Blake reported. 12 dreadnoughts and dozens of smaller ships. Our patrol ships would not last 5 minutes against them. Can we evacuate? Someone asked. Not enough time. And nowhere to run. They will catch any ship we send out. What about the alien warship? Can we use it? Dr. Williams answered. The ship still will not respond to us. Without the right pilot, it is just a very expensive piece of scrap metal. Jake felt angry listening to this. He was the right pilot. He was sitting right here on the station, but they treated him like he did not exist. Commander Grant made her final decision. We will fight with what we have. All patrol ships will engage the enemy fleet. Maybe we can damage a few of their ships before they destroy us. Jake knew this was suicide. The patrol ships were brave, but they had no chance against 12 dreadnoughts. Everyone on the station would die that evening. Jake went to see Pete one last time. I am taking Star's Edge into battle tomorrow. Pete nodded. he had been expecting. This, the commander will court-martial you if you survive. Better to be court-martialed than dead. Besides, I am not going to ask permission to save people's lives. What do you need from me? Just wish me luck. And Pete, if I do not make it back, tell everyone that the janitor tried his best. Pete smiled sadly. You are not a janitor anymore, Jake. You have not been one for days. You are the captain of Star's Edge now. Act like it. That night, Jake could not sleep. He stood at the observation window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the HFY fleet was coming. 12 massive ships filled with weapons, designed to destroy entire worlds. Tomorrow, he would face them alone in an alien warship he barely understood. He was scared, but he was also more determined than he had ever been in his life. For the first time since his accident, he had a chance to be the pilot he was meant to be. Jake thought about all the people on the station who had ignored him for 3 years. Tomorrow, they would finally notice the janitor. He just hoped some of them would live long enough to remember. Jake woke up before dawn on the day the HFY fleet would arrive. He put on his maintenance suit one last time and made his way to the shuttle bay. The station was quiet. Most people were still sleeping, not knowing this might be their last. Day Alive. Pete was waiting for him with a small bag of supplies. Food and water, Pete explained. You might be out there for a while. Thanks, Pete, for everything. They flew to Star's Edge in silence. When they reached the alien ship, Pete grabbed Jake's arm. Are you really sure about this? 1 ship against 12 dreadnoughts? It is not just 1 ship, Jake said. It is the right ship, and maybe that makes all the difference. Jake entered Star's Edge and went straight to the bridge. As soon as he sat in the command chair, he felt the familiar rush of connection with the ship's systems. Every sensor, every weapon, every piece of advanced technology was part of him now. Good morning, Jake, Zenter said. Are you ready for battle? As ready as I will ever be. Show me the enemy fleet. The main screen displayed 12 massive HFY dreadnoughts approaching in formation. Each ship was twice the size of the space station. Their weapons could destroy entire cities with a single shot. Smaller cruisers and destroyers surrounded the dreadnoughts like deadly escort ships. Conventional tactics would be suicide, Zenter advised. But Star's Edge was not built for conventional warfare. We will use stealth, speed, and precision strikes. Jake activated the ship's stealth systems. Star's Edge became nearly invisible to enemy sensors. The HFY would not see him coming until it was too late. Engines to full power, Jake commanded. The ship leaped forward faster than anything he had ever flown. The acceleration should have crushed him, but the Veltar had built inertial dampeners that made the ride smooth as silk. Within an hour, Jake could see the HFY fleet on his forward screens. The dreadnoughts moved in a tight formation. Their weapons already charging for the attack on the space station. They looked unstoppable. Target the lead dreadnought, Jake said. We hit them hard and fast, then disappear before they can react. Quantum phase weapons armed and ready. Zenter reported. Jake flew Star's Edge directly at the enemy formation. The stealth systems kept him hidden until he was less than 1,000 meters from the lead dreadnought. At that range, he could see individual weapon ports on the massive ship's hull. Fire! Star's Edge unleashed a burst of quantum energy that passed right through the HFY shields, like they were not even there. The beam cut through the dreadnought's hull like a knife through paper. Explosions erupted along the ship's length as critical systems failed. Before the other ships could react, Jake was already gone. He used Star's Edge's incredible speed to put distance between himself and the enemy fleet. The damaged dreadnought fell out of formation, leaking atmosphere and debris. First target disabled, Zenter reported. 11 dreadnoughts remaining. The Kethver fleet immediately changed formation. They had realized they were under attack, but they could not see their enemy. Jake watched as they fired randomly into space, hoping to hit an invisible target. They are scared, Jake realized. They have never fought an enemy they could not see. Jake circled around the fleet and selected his next target. A dreadnought, on the edge of the formation, was slightly separated from the others. Perfect for a quick strike, he accelerated to attack speed and fired another quantum burst. This dreadnought took heavy damage to its engine section. The ship began to drift, unable to keep up with the fleet. But this time, the Kethvar were ready. As soon as Jake fired, they launched hundreds of missiles in his direction. The missiles could not lock onto his stealth signature, but there were. So many of them that some came dangerously close. Jake twisted Star's Edge through a series of impossible maneuvers, dodging between explosions. His damaged reflexes worked perfectly with the ship's quantum processors. He could predict where each missile would be and avoid them with milliseconds to spare. "Warning," Center said. "Enemy fleet is adapting their tactics. They are preparing to use area effect weapons." Jake saw what the Kethver were planning. If they could not target him directly, they would fill the entire battle area with deadly energy. It was a brutal tactic that might work. "Then we finish this quickly," Jake decided. "All weapons, maximum power." For the next 2 hours, Jake fought the most intense battle of his life. He darted in and out of the enemy formation, striking at weak points and critical systems. His neural connection with Star's Edge let him process information and react at superhuman speed. One by one, the Kethver dreadnoughts fell. Some were completely destroyed. Others were damaged so badly they could not fight. Jake's hit and run tactics prevented the enemy from bringing their superior numbers to bear, but the battle was taking its toll. Star's Edge had amazing technology, but it was still just one ship against an entire fleet. Energy reserves were running low. Some systems were overheating from constant use. 5 dreadnoughts remaining, Zenta reported. "But Jake, we cannot keep this up much longer. The ship needs time to cool down and recharge." Jake looked at the tactical display. The surviving Kethver ships had formed a tight defensive circle. They were no longer trying to reach the space station. They were just trying to survive. "I have an idea," Jake said. "A crazy idea, but it might work." Instead of attacking the remaining dreadnoughts, Jake flew Star's Edge straight toward the Kethver command ship. This vessel was heavily defended and surrounded by escort ships. It seemed like suicide to approach it, but Jake had learned something during the battle. The Kethver were not just afraid of his weapons. They were afraid of him. They had never faced a single pilot who could outfight. Their entire fleet. Jake activated every stealth system Star's Edge had. He flew through the enemy formation like a ghost, invisible and untouchable. The Kethver ships fired desperately into empty space, not knowing where he was. When Jake reached the command ship, he did not attack it. Instead, he used Star's Edges, advanced communication systems, to hack into the Kethver network. Zenter helped him plant a virus in their computer systems. The virus did not damage their ships. Instead, it sent a message throughout the entire Kethver Empire. The message was a recording left by the dying Veltar civilization. It revealed the locations of dozens of other Star's Edge-class ships hidden throughout the galaxy. The message told every oppressed species in the galaxy that the tools for freedom were waiting for them. They just needed to find the right pilots to use them. Within minutes, the remaining Kethvar ships received new orders from their high command. They were to retreat immediately and return to defend the Empire's core worlds. The threat of multiple Star's Edge ships was too great to ignore. Jake watched as the enemy fleet turned around and fled. The space station was safe. Humanity had won its first victory against the Kethver Empire. as Jake flew Star's Edge back toward the station. He realized his life as a janitor was truly over. He was something new now, something the galaxy had never seen before. He was hope. When Jake returned to Frontier Station Alpha 7, everything had changed. Commander Grant was waiting for him in the docking bay, along with what seemed like the entire crew of the station. They all stared at Star's Edge as if they could not believe what they were seeing. "Jake Miller," Commander Grant said as he stepped off the ship, "you just saved all our lives." Jake felt embarrassed by all the attention. 3 days ago, these same people had walked past him like he was invisible. Now they were looking at him like he was some kind of hero. "I just did what needed to be done, Commander. What you did was impossible. One ship against an entire Kethver fleet? The whole galaxy is going to hear about this." Jake soon learned that Commander Grant was right. News of the battle spread quickly through human space and beyond. The story of a janitor who became a starship captain and defeated the mighty Kethvar. Empire captured everyone's imagination, but Jake knew this was just the beginning. The virus he had planted in the Kethvar network was already working. Reports came in from across the galaxy about other species finding hidden Veltar ships. Some had already found pilots who could operate the advanced technology. "We need to help them," Jake told Commander Grant during a meeting in her office. Veltar left these ships for a reason. They wanted someone to finish what they started. "You want to leave the station?" "I want to find other people like me. Humans who can pilot these ships. We could build a real fleet, not just one ship fighting alone." Commander Grant thought about this for a long time. Finally, she nodded. "The Earth Defense Force has already contacted me. They want to set up a special training program. You would be in charge of finding and training pilots for Veltar technology." Over the next few months, Jake worked with Dr. Williams and Pete to identify humans with the right neural patterns. It was not easy. A specific type of brain damage that made Jake compatible with Star's Edge was rare. But they found a few candidates. Lucy Chun was a former test pilot who had suffered a similar head injury. Ryan Brooks was a young mechanic whose brain had been damaged in a childhood accident. Both of them were able to interface with Veltar technology, though not as completely as Jake. Pete helped set up a secret training facility on a remote asteroid. Using captured Kethver technology and Veltar databases, they built a school for the galaxy's most unusual pilots. But the Kethver were not sitting still. War Admiral Kethmol, commander of their main battle fleet, had made Jake's destruction his personal mission. Intelligence reports suggested the Empire was building new types of weapons specifically designed to fight Star's Edge-class ships. "Are scared," Zenter told Jake during one of their conversations. For the first time in centuries, the Kethver face an enemy they cannot simply overwhelm with superior numbers. The final confrontation came sooner than expected. Kethver scouts discovered the location of the training facility. War Admiral Kethmol arrived with over 100 ships, determined to destroy Jake and his small fleet before they could become a real threat. Jake had only recovered 3 other Star's Edge ships by then. Lucy and Ryan were good pilots, but they were still learning. The 4th ship was operated by an alien pilot from a species called the Zenth. Together, they faced impossible odds. The battle took place in the Centauri system, far from any civilian populations. Jake used every lesson he had learned about Veltar technology and Kethvar tactics. His small fleet moved like ghosts through space, striking at weak points and disappearing before the enemy could respond. But this time was different. The Kethvar had learned from their previous defeats. They used new weapons that could track stealth ships. They employed tactics designed specifically to counter hit-and-run attacks. "We cannot win this by running away," Jake realized. "We need to hit them where it really hurts." Jake made a decision that terrified everyone, including himself. He flew Star's Edge directly at the HFY flagship, Death's Shadow. The massive ship was the most heavily defended vessel in their fleet. Getting close to it should have been suicide. But Jake was no longer the same person who had cleaned floors 3 years earlier. His connection with Star's Edge had grown so deep that he could operate multiple ship systems at once while coordinating his fleet's movements. He had become something new, part human, part machine, and completely focused on victory. Jake penetrated the flagship's defenses using every trick Zentor had taught him. He docked with Death's Shadow and entered the ship through an airlock, just like he had done with Star's Edge so long ago. War Admiral Kethmal was waiting for him on the bridge. The alien commander was huge and covered in battle scars. He had spent his entire life conquering other species. "So, you are the human who thinks he can defeat the HFY Empire," the Admiral said in broken English. "I am the human who already did," Jake replied. Instead of fighting the Admiral, Jake did something unexpected. He connected Star's Edge to the flagship's communication system and broadcast the complete Veltar database throughout HFY space. Every ship in their empire received detailed information about resistance movements, hidden weapon caches, and the locations of species still fighting for freedom. More importantly, the broadcast included instructions for operating Veltar technology. Now any species with the right neural patterns could find and use the hidden ships. War Admiral Kethmal watched in horror as his empire's communication network lit up with rebellion. Dozens of species that had been quietly resisting HFY rule suddenly had access to advanced weapons and detailed intelligence about their oppressors. "You have not defeated us," the Admiral said. "You have only made us angry." "No," Jake said. "I have given hope to everyone you have tried to crush. And hope is more powerful than any weapon you have." The war did not end that day, but it changed. Forever, the HFY Empire found itself fighting dozens of rebellions at once. Species they had written off as defeated suddenly had access to technology that could match their own weapons. Jake returned to human space as more than just a hero. He had become a symbol of resistance against oppression. The former Janitor was now Admiral Jake Miller, commander of the Free Species Alliance. Star's Edge became the flagship of a growing fleet dedicated to protecting the independence of all sentient life. The ship that had chosen Jake as its pilot now carried the hopes of billions of beings across the galaxy. Sometimes, late at night when he was alone on the bridge, Jake thought about his old life as a janitor. He remembered the quiet days of cleaning floors and emptying trash cans. It seemed like a lifetime ago, but he never regretted the path that had brought him here. The accident that ended his military career had actually prepared him for something much more important. His damaged reflexes had made him the perfect pilot for the most advanced ship in the galaxy. Jake Miller had learned that sometimes the most unlikely heroes are exactly what the universe needs. He had started as a man who cleaned up other people's messes. Now he was the man who cleaned up injustice wherever he found it. The galaxy was a big place, and there was still a lot of work to do. But for the first time in centuries, the oppressed had real hope for freedom. And it all started with a janitor who refused to give up on his dreams of flying among the stars.